Welcome back. This is another episode of the Epic Epoch podcast. This is episode 31. And yesterday, not 24 hours ago, I guess about 24 hours ago, we had the beginning of patch 0.9.2, which means we have the exiled mage encounter. It means we have Runemaster in the game. It means we have 21 new unique items and a handful of reworked unique items as well. I am here with my co-host as always, Dread. Dread, welcome back.
Hello, and in today's video topic, we're going to be going over just Runemaster and the new patch, which ended up being significantly better. I mean, like strides and bounds better than I assumed.
I actually heard you recently saying that you hated Runemaster and you don't like Last Epoch. What was that all about?
Wait, what?
Somebody in chat said that you were really perturbed by Runemaster.
No,
what was that all about?
I made a video talking about certain things I hope would be changed by 1.0, which funnily enough, certain things has been changed for the most part ever since this patch, which is funny.
We'll see. Listen, I just talked to Judd recently, Judd's the CEO of EHG. He's still doubling down on having the 1.0 release of Last Epoch by the end of this year. Remember, 1.0 is Falconer and Warlock and trade factions and hopefully bug fixes and performance and balance patches and all that kind of stuff as well. Sure. All right. End of this year. Let's see it.
Hog.
Before we get too far into the thick of things and talk about what we've been doing in the past 24 hours of this patch, first of all, I would like to ask YouTube and Spotify and people here in Twitch, should I have a funny hat? I feel like not having a squid on my head, I'm left out. Like my hat my hat's all about function. It's not really about form.
I have the funny hat because I'm bald.
What? What the fuck? Wait, I didn't know this.
Shaved. Yeah, that's why I'm wearing the hat.
What? When did that happen? You had so much hair.
It was like a few days ago. Well, what happened was on the honeymoon, like my hair got really like matted down, and I was like, all right, it's time to shave it.
I knocked the headphone out of my head. What you?
Yeah, I could tell.
What, and you? Wow, I had no idea. You used to have so much hair.
That's what the hat was for, so that you didn't know. Yes.
Stepping on my brand. Fair enough. Yeah, maybe I get a pig head. Oh my goodness.
I actually had to ban someone from my Twitch chat yesterday because they said I was cringe for wearing the squid hat. You don't diss the squid hat, man.
I mean, it's a clean hat. It's not like a scrub. You know, it's not some bad hat. It's not dirty. It's not filthy. It's cute. I like it.
Well,
it
also,
looks
I don't know if you know this, but it has a feature.
Go on.
Like I said, we have party hat mode.
It lights up. Oh my god.
Yeah, it does.
Hold on. I messed up my headphone. I'm already embarrassed. Professional podcaster, by the way. All right. Anyways, squid head double brain. Sure. All right. Let's talk about Runemaster. What we've been doing. How did your day one go? Did you run into bugs? Did you already know what you wanted to play? Were you experimenting things? What were you doing yesterday?
Well, I started off with the leveling a mage to 20, and then I tried to do the skip, but then I forgot that since I was in SAF because I want to start fresh, so I didn't touch SAF at all this patch, so that I could start fresh this patch, right? On a new account. Turns out when you're SAF, like solo account found, you can't go with other people in a party, so you can't do the skip. So I had to go play something else for an hour while I waited for Runemaster release, which made me sad. But after that, what happened was I was starting to level, and for the most part, I was using the combo, I think of lightning, fire, fire, or something like that, which was the plasma brand like arc thing, which ignites for 7 ignites, and it has 70% duration and 70% pen, and it also does spreading fire. That was really strong for leveling, of course, because it's a lot of damage early on. But then it definitely started falling off significantly after a while. And then someone in my chat was like, hey, why don't you use cold fire fire? I was like, what do you mean cold fire fire? I'm like, I look at it. It hits like 9 or 10 times, Perry.
Is cold fire fire like the fireballs that drop from the sky? That one?
Meteors,
Okay, gotcha.
Yes. Is it sad that this is a better meteor than meteor?
Is it
12?
Meteor
and
sucks.
You can double cast it, of course. And that plus ignite Glyph of Dominion has been my build. They're both integral to the build so far in terms of DPS.
And
of
you're
course,
doing like
the
some
enchant
kind of
weapon popping.
ignite per second, ignite frequency thing, right?
Yeah, that's because Glyph of Dominion has a node in it that gives it 6 ignites per second, right? And normally that wouldn't be enough to make anything work, obviously, because that would be terrible. But the note after it says you also gain frequency with this ignite per percentage of ignite chance that you have. And I saw you talking about it the other day. Actually, you were talking about, like my chance to ignite on hit with fire skills.
Mm-hmm.
That does affect it, by the way. So like
Oh, it
Soulfire
does.
affects it. Yes, it does. All of that
Oh,
affects it.
okay.
Yes.
Normally that
I
doesn't. I'm
tested
surprised.
it.
Okay.
I know. I just tested it. I tested it like the other day. I had to make sure because I just took it off, took it on. It does definitely work because you can see the number of ignites ticking up faster.
Mm-hmm.
And essentially, you can get up to a large amount of stacks. Right now, I'm at 350 ignite stacks with my full combo. Then, of course, Conflagrate with enchant weapon for fun, right? One day they'll nerf that, then we'll have to use Flame Rush instead. I actually ended up turning my runic invocation into a traversal skill because I couldn't fit more stuff on my bar. So now on my bar, I have Glyph of Dominion, enchant weapon, runic invocation, flame ward, and rune bolt. I'm just using rune bolt for utility and as my cold spell because it's like the best cold spell to be using right now for it because it gives me mana back.
Interesting. Okay. So you said you're turning it into a traversal skill. When people say that they're turning their runic invocation into a traversal skill, you don't mean the little hop, do you?
No, not the hop, the enigma, the one that makes it into a teleport. That gives it a 5-second cooldown.
What is that? Oh, is that the one that procs Glyph of Dominion at the end of it?
No. Oh no, that's runic invocation as a traversal skill. No. It's the actual button you press for runic invocation. You can turn it into a teleport and it casts it where you teleport.
Oh, you know what? I finally know what node you're talking about.
I'm using
Okay.
that instead
Yeah,
of
I
using
understand.
teleport because, and I'm not casting the ignite stuff that often for it, so it's fine.
I'm not even used to thinking about that node. I need to consider that the next time that I'm looking for a movement skill as well.
It saved me so much room. It made the build function.
Yeah, because you really want something to move.
I needed enchant weapon on my bar, so it worked.
Okay. So I could numlock that. I could numlock my teleport. Should I do that? Is that good?
Sure, of course, yeah.
Listen, I've done it before. Have you tried the flame rush that pops ignite stacks? Yeah, go ahead.
Currently, as it currently stands, with Conflagrate on enchant weapon, how it is right now, it is better for this setup. But one day when they finally rework enchant weapon and remove this and maybe make ignite better so you don't have to use Conflagrate on mage, then I will probably end up using flame rush. But right now the flame rush node is okay. It just requires a lot of investment. The biggest problem with it is you have to run a bunch of intelligence, and generally intelligence doesn't help you that much, especially on the setup that I'm running, because I am running actually this is actually a really cool thing about the build. There is a node at the top of Runemaster. It's called Runeward Avalanche. And if you don't know what this is, it means you get a rune whenever you cast a cold spell, right? And you get 2 flat endurance per ignite on the enemy. So for instance, if the enemy has 100 ignites, right, you have 200 extra endurance against their attacks. So it works retroactively, right, against them. And I'm at like 350 ignites so far, consistently on bosses. Like I was just fighting Herat, like at 350. So I have 700 extra endurance thresholds. So
that's one of the things that you're using your cold skill for, because your cold skill is generating mana and it's making that thing happen. That's great. Okay, so you have tons of endurance threshold.
Yep. So right now, my plan in the end game is to just run a bleeding heart and just stack as much life as possible and try to get as much endurance threshold as possible with ignite stacks, because every single percentage of ignite chance I get now is technically defenses as well.
Interesting.
Which is great.
And then you use a fractured crown to make sure that you have no ward.
What do you mean you have no ward? It doesn't matter. You don't need it.
But you're not building anything with like ward per second.
No, I mean it's there.
Yeah,
it's there, but like I'm not using it.
Yeah, interesting. I'm actually kind of doing the opposite. Let me tell you about the build that I'm currently running with right now. So my day one, I started with a level 100 character because I leveled up to 100 before this patch dropped, and then when the patch dropped, I just walked up to the guy, clicked on him, got Runemaster, and then boom, I'm level 100. So what that allowed me to do is just spend the entire first day jumping from this build to that build, trying this thing out, try that thing out, because your skills level up really quickly and you already have access to empowered monoliths. So that's what I was trying. I did like 12 or 13 different builds yesterday when I was experimenting, and I like nothing really worked out the way that I wanted to. There's a one-handed dagger that kind of enticed me for a while, but after spending about 20 minutes with it, I couldn't figure out what to do with Dragarath's dagger. It's got something about Frost Claw, and then on crit, you can proc Lightning Blast 3 times a second. I'm interested in coming back to that at some point, but I couldn't figure it out in 20 minutes, so I moved on to the next thing. So the build that we're doing today is something that we're going to have to build into, because I don't have a lot of Frostbite gear, but we are doing Frostbite with Frost Claw, and we are proccing Ice Barrage as well. And one of the neat things about it is we got the mana cost all the way down to 0, even with the shotgunning node in Frostclaw, by using tier 7 minus mana cost on a scepter instead of using a wand.
Hell yeah.
So as long as you get it down to 0 mana cost, the build works.
Oh, did you hit that, by the way? I didn't see.
We did. So we have that on a Frozen Ire unique scepter now.
Sexy.
So I think there's a good way that you could level this before getting
Also,
high-end items.
Oh, Frozen Ire might be really good when you run Bone Climber Barbrute eventually, because it gives you necrotic res.
That's true. Oh, it does give necrotic res, and the necrotic res gives you warp. Ooh,
and then,
that's kind of
all your suffixes become ward then.
Oh, so.
But yeah, continue.
So the other thing that I want to call out about this build is, well, I'm basically numlocking my Runic Invocation. There's a lot of things you can do with Runic Invocation, and I like that everyone that comes to my stream on Twitch tells me like, hey, I love this thing. Hey, I love this thing. And everyone's bragging about a different Runic Invocation. Everyone's like enjoying a different piece of the puzzle. So I'm using CFC, and it's quickly becoming the one that I recognize the most because I just talk about it so often.
Oh, that one, the 30% less damage.
30% less damage taken. Yeah, it's got Rowan's Frost.
That's gonna get halved. That's gonna get halved so quickly.
You numlock it, and you have permanent uptime, and it's just a little bit good. So I'm numlocking that. Good. And so we have damage reduction there. We have damage reduction from Flame Ward, of course. We have the new damage reduction in Runemaster. Gives us less damage taken against chilled monsters. And then we also have less damage on Flame Rush if you're using that. And then you can have that persist after the Flame Rush. And then you can even fit Lightning Aegis into the build in a number of different ways. You have a lot of damage reduction on top of all your like ward generation. It's pretty good. I like it.
Yeah. Turns out when you have a lot of damage reduction, your ward becomes significantly better.
So I looked at my endurance, and it's funny, you said that you're stacking up a bunch of endurance threshold because of your Ignite synergy. I looked at my endurance, it's at 20%. I've never had so little endurance on a character that I liked so much. I think you just muted yourself. Go on. Come back. Baby, come back. This is a great time to remind you that we don't have a sponsor, but we could. If you want to sponsor Dread and Perry talking about Last Epoch, make sure
we're sponsored by Red Bull.
Are we?
I thought
we need to find like a microphone sponsor for you. How about that? Maybe a headphone sponsor for myself. Ooh, what about a hat? Oh, we could do a shaving sponsor. We could do. Isn't there like a Dollar Shave? We could do Dollar Shave Club. Yes, Dollar Shave Club. If you're out there, not sponsored by you, but
you want to hear a funny thing you can do with Runic Invocation?
Tell me, what do you got?
So this is a build in the future. It's a little bit of a spoiler, but I'm going to set up the Spark Charge setup, right? And play it as on a Runemaster.
Go on.
But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to spam a 1 invocation Runic Invocation, which gets around the cooldown on Elemental Nova when you give it the big AoE. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to constantly spam cast the Lightning Nova, the big one, right, to apply spark charges, right, and scale as much area as possible. And we're literally just going to take that and we're going to speedrun monos with it. It's going to be absolutely wonderful because if you did not know, Elemental Nova can get up to 100% spark charge chance, and it will hit every single individual mob. So every single one of those little spiders will apply a spark charge. So like as you go through the mono, you can just go press one button, bam, whole screen is dead.
And then if they crit, you can get 10 ward per crit on hit. against all. Whew, you can get a lot of ward on these monsters all of a
Yep,
sudden.
and they all shotgun too, and it's just crazy because it's like I'm not even using Runic Invocation because it does anything. I'm just using it because it bypasses a cooldown on a stupid cooldown. It's great.
So let's pivot for a moment. We talked about the things that we did on day one, like half of day two right here. What about like is anything standing out as too strong? What's your
strong?
knee jerk? I don't want balance. I want knee jerk. What's the knee jerk
Frost
reaction? What's
walls,
too strong?
Flame Ward, like what? Like what is this node?
Rocking flame
Why does
ward on
this
you and your team with
exist?
no cooldown.
Just in general, just why does this exist?
It's a very
I don't
weird
know why
node.
this exists. Yeah,
Even if it costs a bunch of mana, which it really doesn't. But like, why is
Yeah.
it there?
Yeah, it doesn't make sense. Other things that are OP, I'll be honest, I thought there was gonna be some OP stuff, but there is, but there isn't. You know what I mean? Like it feels really balanced because like to do the fancy stuff with the runic invocation and all that, like you have to actually cast stuff and like you're not constantly spamming it. Like it feels very fair, but in a good way. Not like the fair, oh, I'm playing heavy strike kind of thing.
Mhm.
The fair, like I'm playing like, I don't know, like I'm just playing a good skill and it's doing enough damage and it's doing great, right?
Mhm.
Like for instance, while I was leveling for a while, I was very confused because I would like go and hit the dummy and I'd be at like 30k DPS, right? Like my ignite. And then like I'd go into the mono and I'd go delete the next boss or whatever for the monolith or whatever. I'm just like, why does this feel so good even though my dummy DPS is so low? But then I'm tripled it by that now. Now I'm like 120k, but
Mhm.
like I hit for like a million when I conflagrate and all that, right? But like I don't know why it just feels good and I like that.
That feels like the most important thing about Runemaster, or like even an action RPG. Just
Mhm.
is it
Well,
good? Is it
except
not
for
good? Like
Runebolt.
I
Except for
even back when I
Runebolt.
played Path of
They need
Exile,
to
like
fix that. Runebolt
Well-
has the same problem that Multi-Strike has.
what's that?
The ridiculous animation for no reason.
Oh, it does kind of feel slow, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like I even had Kissing come to the stream and I was like showing her. It's like, why does this feel so slow? Like all of a sudden, it like
Do you have
compared to any
tons of
other
cast
spell,
speed?
I do. Yes, I actually
And
do.
does it still feel weird? Okay.
It has
For
an
us-
animation. That's the problem. Because cast speed doesn't affect the base animation. So
Sure. Okay.
if you have a long animation, it doesn't matter what you do. Like for instance, like my Glyph of Dominion is like instant cast for the most part, but then my Rune Bolt takes like 5 years.
The base speed of Runebolt is 1.2 compared to 1.47 being. Oh, you know what? Is that the same lack of speed that detonating arrow has compared to most skills?
Multi-strike and multi-strike.
Yeah, and like it's just kind of weirdly slower. Okay, yeah, absolutely noticeable. I hear you.
I don't know why they do this because it's like Rune Bolt's supposed to be that spell that you kind of weave in to other stuff. It's supposed to be a utility spell. It's not. It doesn't hit hard enough to merit that cast speed. I don't know if like they're just accidentally doing it. I don't know if like I don't know what's going on with that. Like I don't know because like I kind of hate it because it ruins skills that normally should feel good to play. Like for instance, the aforementioned multi-strike. Like multi-strike should be a good skill. On paper, it's a good skill. It's just in practice, it just doesn't feel good to play. Whether or not it does enough damage, it's a different thing, right? But it needs to like feel good. Detonating arrow gets away with the slower speed because it of what it does, right? So because it hits so many times with one attack or whatever. But yeah, go ahead, Perry.
This reminds me of me playing like Path of Exile, and you know, I guess it's been like 2.5 years since I played Path of Exile, but I was always one that was really happy to trim damage out of my build in order to get more quality of life. Just if a build feels better, if it's sparking more joy to me, if it's more fun to play, I'm gonna play it for longer, and I'm gonna find more upgrades and like get more min max in there. But quality of life and having fun while you're playing a skill, Runemaster has that in spades. Like there's so much fun stuff to be working with here.
Yeah, like my thing with it is just weird because it's like I would understand it if it was a skill like Meteor And if Meteor did damage and did stuff to suffice,
Sure, like one big
cost,
hit. Boom.
sure, yeah. But for Rune Bolt, it's like it's the bread and butter of Runemaster. You need to be spamming it. Like you're essentially forced to be spamming it, right? Like that's its entire job.
You never
So
cast
just
it once or twice.
Yeah, it just feels weird.
I hear you.
Well,
Right.
I do actually. I do, but that's just because my setup's weird.
So it's curious. You didn't say anything about things that stand out that like need to be nerfed. You think this thing is too strong?
Not
This thing's
really.
OP.
Like so far, it's been fine.
I love hearing that. There is one node that I don't like, and it's because I've already made the.
Well, other than I mean, obviously the invocation that gives you the 30% less damage taken. That obviously.
No, it's fine. It's fine. It's fine. Listen,
That
well,
should
I'm going to
probably
run
get
the
touched.
EHP numbers on that after this podcast, and I'm going to see exactly how tanky my character is.
Okay, my problem is it's Runemaster only, right?
It
It's
sure
not like
is.
Flame Ward, where it's like the entirety of Mage, you know? So it's like, yeah.
But
Even
see,
that
but that's
Frostwall
the
node is, like,
identity of
the entirety
Runemaster, though.
Mage.
The
Yeah.
identity of Runemaster is to be better than Sword.
I mean, they kind of just did that to themselves, to be honest, you know?
So
It's
one
kinda
node
funny.
that I'm surprised you didn't mention is a node in the first half of the Runemaster Mastery, and it's called like Instruments of Choice or Weapons
that
of
thing,
Imbued
that thing
Instruments.
gives a lot of stats. Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree.
So
I'm fine with that one because it's at the second of the bottom half. I'm okay with the nodes at that part of the
Okay.
tree being strong because it's a reward for investing into that side. So, like for instance, if you're a Sork, right? and
Sure, you still get
invest
access to it.
That many points to it to get that node, you should be rewarded. Now, I think they could probably reduce the crit, but the other numbers are fine. I'm fine
It's
with those.
so for 6 points you get like
Yeah.
tier 7 crit multi on
It
your
could
wand.
be like 8. It could be 8%, and it'd be fine. It'd be
Right,
whatever.
yeah,
right?
the numbers are just way too big.
Yeah. It just looks big. I don't think it matters. I just think it looks big, right? Like when you look at it. It's
Well,
like,
but
wow,
the
that's a lot.
comparison to the, so the node
I
for,
mean-
for the people in chat who don't know the node, let me recite it
Yeah,
real quick.
go
So I
ahead.
think I know it off the top of my head. It's 12 crit multi per point while wielding a wand. It's
Yeah.
12 ward retention per point while
Yep.
wielding a scepter, which is strange. And then it's 3 cast speed per point.
4%.
4%. It's 4 cast speed per point while wielding a
Oh,
staff.
was it 3% at one point and it got buffed, Perry?
Can't say. So the cast speed, the cast
stuff
speed
here.
the cast speed works out to like tier 2 cast speed on a staff,
Well,
whereas the
thing
wand
is
works out to like tier 7 crit multi.
Well, I think you shouldn't be comparing it to like the affixes. You should be comparing it to other nodes. So, like for instance, the cast speed with the staff, it's about the same amount of cast speed that Arcane Momentum gives you, right? That's fine.
Okay.
The ward retention is actually a lot of ward retention. If you didn't know, that's
Would
a
you
lot.
ever take that node if you were using
Yes.
a scepter? For a scepter?
Yeah, like you're playing a Ignite setup or whatever, or like a Frostbite setup right now, and you're like running ward. That's a lot of ward. 72% ward retention is a lot of ward retention, Perry. There's a reason why like people run Frostbite shackles.
But what if I have frostbite shackles?
I mean, the more ward retention, the merrier, I guess, in that setup. Like,
Oh god,
Like,
but
it's
Chet
really
agrees with
strong.
you? Am I the one who's in the wrong here? Don't tell me.
it's a lot of ward retention. What?
Well,
Am I
ward
crazy?
retention.
Most builds get to like 400%. That's like a quarter of your ward retention.
I'll try it. Oh my god, Twitch
Like-
Chat agrees with you.
I think it's more niche than the crit multi one for sure.
It's
Like, it's still
72 crit
strong.
multi. I don't think
know.
it's comparable at all.
I mean, obviously, yeah, but like the thing is like if you're all of a sudden using a scepter for some reason, it's like really good. It's like
Those are like
If
your
you're a
last
Runemaster-
5 points that you're going to spec into. You're not happy about that. You just
totally.
kind of slap them in at the very end.
I think you're underestimating how strong ward retention is currently.
Maybe I am. Okay. I'll try it. I'll try it for you. I'll let you know how it feels.
hmm Yeah, I can't use it because I'm playing endurance. So,
Should that node have anything for daggers?
no, I think rune daggers are in a fine spot. They're very rare. That's their balance. It's like I like where rune daggers are.
But
I
there's
think
a
it's,
new
like, a
unique
good
rune
option.
dagger that specifically supports Frostclaw, right?
4% crit, 4% cast speed is worse than 12% crit multi. Well, if you're looking at it from just a generic damage amount, sure, yeah. But cast speed allows you to do other stuff. Like for instance, right now, a friend of mine is playing Rune Bolt with the antipode node that like shoots rune bolts for you.
Yeah,
And
okay.
cast speed is very strong. You get plenty of base crit for your runic invocation, so your antipode is always critting. So he can get away with running a staff. And you want as much cast speed as possible because guess what? You're not limited on the amount of antipodes you have, other than the fact it has a 4-second duration. So if you cast your runic invocations fast enough, you can get well over 4 of them at once. Which also, of course, scale with your cast speed. Cast speed is like, a lot of people don't view it this way. They always like, oh, I need the damage. I need the damage. And it's like, well, cast speed is damage and quality of life in the same bucket, right? So it's like, it's a lot better than people view it as.
I'll
Go
think
ahead.
about it. I'll think about
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
I think the very first thing you said is probably correct. The crit multi should just like be lowered to like 10 or
Yeah,
8%.
it should be lower to like maybe 8% per node. I'd be fine with that. It's like whatever.
All right. I hear you. That's neat. One thing that we should mention is before this patch even dropped, we got the patch notes patched. So there was a node that I thought was going to be bonkers strong, but it turns out that entire interaction has been removed from the game. So in the past, you could have endurance threshold, and if you also had damage taken from mana before health, it interacted in a beneficial way, where like your endurance would mitigate the damage that was going to your mana as well. So that's been completely removed from the game, no longer works.
Yeah.
Which means the node in Runemaster, Cerulean Runestone, the one that gives you endurance threshold based on a percentage of your maximum mana, not nearly as interesting as it used to be. It's still beneficial.
Yeah.
It still gives you EHP, I guess, but not nearly as strong as it used to be. So that node would have been OP, but all right, honorable mention for that one.
I mean, I'm using it, but that's just because I just want the endurance percent right now because my gear is shit.
Yeah, I hear you. What about builds that you want to try? I've got a big list of builds. Yeah.
So you saw the new Beastmaster helmet, right?
I did. Yeah, the new it's not specifically not squirrels, only for wolves.
I just dropped that. I'm going to be playing that when I get a chance. I dropped a 2 LP Frowen's Fortress or whatever, the staff, the Runic Invocation staff, the one that like you stack armor and all that.
It gives you like flat damage, is it?
I just
for like whichever is lowest.
Yeah. Okay. I just dropped a 2 LP one, so we're gonna be playing around
2
with
LP
that.
anything is always interesting to build around, sure.
Yeah. We're gonna be playing around with that. I plan on it. And also to respond to Kelvara, the thing is, when it comes to cast speed, when you're playing a build that wants cast speed, you want as much cast speed as possible. You don't care if this source of cast speed is worse than this source of cast speed or whatever. If you care about cast speed, you're grabbing all of it. You're grabbing all of it, like every single amount of it you can possibly get, because it not only will it make your build feel better, it will also, like, most of the time when you're doing stuff like this, you're going to make sure that you double dip or triple dip on cast speeds. Like, for instance, on the antipode node, just like what Mr. Valanoff said. Oh, I think it's Valanoff. Let me look here. No, it's Chain Zero. Yeah, the turret bolt build double dips on cast speed, so like that's why it starts becoming really good. Right?
It sounds like your argument is similar to stacking intelligence for like a spark charge build. Like at some point, intelligence is doing so many things for you that you just like, even if a node gives you 1 intelligence per point, you're kind of interested in it.
Yeah, you just want it.
Okay, all right. I hear your argument. I understand. Let's see. So you got a couple 2 LP items that you're planning on working around. I think what I'm most interested in at this point is doing some kind of like spell damage over time. So I have a lot of questionable builds on my list of things I want to try. I wanted to do a spark charge thing, like kind of like the old spark charge builds, but just played as a Runemaster. And I think they're good and perhaps even better. But I don't think it really embraces what Runemaster is all about. Like, it doesn't get to use a wand for the crit multi node. It doesn't get to like use Frostclaw. I guess you could, but it doesn't get to make use of cast speed, which is like your mastery bonus. There's a lot of things that it doesn't really take advantage of. And like, you could use Rowan or what's it called? Rowan's? Yeah, Rowan's Frostguard for the 30% less damage taken. You could do lightning for some extra damage. But it kind of just feels like a build that happens to be better over here, but it doesn't really embrace what Runemaster is about. So I'm going to shelve that for a while. But I wouldn't be surprised if it's just like better than it's ever been. But yeah, some kind of spell damage over time. So you're using Glyph of Dominion for ignites, but like maybe Glyph of Dominion for spell dots or Frost Wall.
Yeah,
Some
the thing
kind of
is with
spell
this
dot I
kind
want
of
to
thing,
do.
it's gonna work like Cold Dot and Path of Exile, where you just grab every source of it you can possibly get
Yeah,
and layer them all on top of each other. And there you go. That's my build.
something like that. The brands as well, right?
Yeah,
There's a brand
I
in
haven't messed with
Runemaster in the
those.
top
They
half.
don't. They look like Doom, but like
Yeah, but they have like a
you know
more
how
damage
Doom
multiplier
is.
stapled to them as well. I
Yeah,
don't know.
you know how Doom is.
Yeah, it's fine. It can accompany
Yeah.
other builds as well,
Oh,
but I
I'm
like
sure.
it.
I'm just saying, like, Doom.
So I you hater. I
Hater.
periodically run build contests, and I run these like through
Yes.
my Discord and through Twitch, and we pick a unique item or sometimes a skill, and we just like do the weirdest thing that we can with them in order to highlight the kinds of build variety that exist in Last Epoch. I'm keeping an eye out for unique items that I might want to do a build contest for. I have one idea. I kind of want you to guess what it is. What would you do for a build contest?
Rayowen's Fortress
What I
or
don't have no clue what that
Marrowphage.
is.
Who can make the best Marrowphage in a weekend?
Love that. Marrowphage. People keep coming into chat asking me how it
Really?
works.
Oh, it sucks. Oh my god, Marrowphage sucks. I
Wait,
forgot.
what?
Okay.
Wait,
When
hold
it
on.
takes the affixes from your sword,
Yes.
it randomizes the amount that it takes.
Yes.
So, like, for instance, right, I had a tier 7 ignite chance on hit, tier
Yeah.
5 melee attack speed, tier 5 melee fizz, and
Yeah.
tier 5 reduced damage taken from crits, right?
Yeah.
It's based on the shatter. Oh, yeah, it's based on the shatter. You're right. It's based on the shatter. My sword right now has 15% attack speed, 16 melee physical, 49% ignite chance, and 75% reduced damage taken from crits.
Wait,
That's
are you mad?
garbage.
Are you mad that it's not a 4 LP item for free?
I mean, yeah.
Are you
but the
mad that it's
base-
not 4 LP?
Okay. The problem is the base isn't good enough to merit. Like, obviously, you can get lucky and do much better. Obviously, right? But like, I thought that that's how it worked, so that's why I sacrificed said sword.
I thought it gave me 4 LP for
It's
free, and
based
now
on
I'm
the
mad.
fracture. I know.
That's a
And-
real gamer moment right there.
Yeah. Yeah, I forgot that line of text. Okay.
Yeah,
I lost a really
it could
good
give you
sword.
literally one affix, a one tier of
Yeah.
one affix.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
It
not.
Yeah. I think it's going to be great when you finally hit that one godly rune of shattering, right? God, this going to be so much fun. Just doing a weekend where it's like, who can make the best Marrowphage? Who can make the best? It's a really common item, apparently.
It'll
from
be
the
great
guy.
when somebody has the perfect one and then accidentally
Yeah.
shatters another sword while they have it equipped.
Yeah, they just do it. They just do it without even paying attention.
Just like
They're
talking and
Why
clicking.
am I doing no damage?
It'll be some scrub Twitch streamer, you know.
Yeah, odd. I love that, by the way. Oh, you see what the cuckoo does? Oh my god,
I
the
have.
cuckoo.
Yeah, tell me about it. This is a pretty cool item.
All right, so essentially the cuckoo, it is an offhand catalyst. It has a very interesting base.
Mhm.
It has the new experimental affix. It can roll up to 34% effective haste and 2.9 seconds of haste after you use a traversal skill.
And that's the implicit,
17
right?
intelligent. That's the implicit.
Gotcha.
And then, of course, it has ward on kill, ward decay threshold, which I'm not entirely sure how that works. It's very like, so essentially, it's just like endurance threshold for your ward, but it doesn't actually apply to your ward decay, like your ward decay amount.
Yeah,
Like, it's
your
weird.
ward decay threshold by default is 0, so this
Yeah.
just raises it.
Yeah, and then then it has crit strike avoidance and dodge percentage, right?
But that's not the interesting part of it.
Now, the note that's interesting is the cuckoo may permanently change into a random exalted item when a nearby enemy dies. Now, this is interesting because it maintains the implicit. So this is the only way of getting the unique the avian puppet implicit on a like offhand, so you can get like haste for free, right? Now, obviously, the item is obviously very bad. It's very bad, but it's a good meme.
I mean, I think for the build that I'm playing right now, my Frostbite thing, I think that's best
Yeah.
in slot.
What do you mean best in slot? You're gonna lose it in like 5 seconds.
Well, no, I think it's best in slot because you get one and then you you kill a random monster and it drops a random item and it randomly becomes your avian puppet, but you keep the implicit.
Yeah, but you lose all the other mods on it.
Yeah, but you get like damage.
Then you're using an offhand catalyst with no base crit on it. I mean, sure,
I'm playing Frostbite.
A shield, but you're not using a shield then.
I'm tanky as fuck. I don't need a shield.
The whole point of playing an ailment build is to be able to use a shield. That's the whole point.
What? No, I want cast speed. No. I don't want a shield.
Sure. Okay, sure, whatever.
A shield. Whatever. Oh, wait. Hold up. Wait a minute. Yeah. I think catalysts are good. I think you're underselling catalysts. But there is a shield that has a bunch of cold res on it. Mm-hmm. Oh, ooh! What about that shield? What about the cold red shield, chat?
Well, they buffed the mana one, so the one that gives you like ward based on your mana, right?
Oh, I spend a ton of mana. That's interesting.
No, not mana spend. I'm sorry. It's the shield that gives you 15% of your current of your max mana or whatever on block. The Moena Mortis or whatever it's called. That got buffed significantly because of the block effectiveness blessing change. Because you can get much closer to cap. Because you get 8% for free. So that got buffed. Because you didn't care about the block effectiveness on it. You cared about getting your block chances high so that whenever you were hit, you gained 15% of your mana as ward.
Man, right? I got some decisions to make for my build all of a sudden.
Yeah,
that's not a bad idea.
Shield got much better now.
Oh.
Because like every single percent, right, that you get closer to max makes it better and better, obviously, because you know how it is. It's like exponential, right?
Mm-hmm. It's a budget Aegis Aurora. That might be good enough.
Yeah, it essentially is Aegis Aurora. Yeah, it literally is Aegis Aurora. Yeah. Another build I want to play. So this is more of a meme build. So essentially, there's that new experimental affix that summons zombies, right?
Yes, 6 of them. My new favorite thing in the game.
7.
Go on.
So there is a build that currently exists, or not a build, but a concept where you can fill the entire screen with potions with ballistas. And what you do is you just spam as many potions as possible, right?
So this is the first true multiplayer build.
And no, you can just use wait, what do you mean?
Well, you can only do this with 2 people, right?
What do you mean?
Oh wait, you want to do this without?
Yeah.
You want to do this as a rogue?
Yeah, you do as a rogue. Oh, what do you mean what?
Don't you want to have one person as a necromancer and one person as a rogue? Okay.
No, I mean you could do that, yeah, sure. But the other way you could do it is so the concept you could do that. That would be fun. You're right. But what you do is you just run like minion ignite stuff, and the beautiful thing about volatile zombies specifically here, right, is when you summon more of them than the cap, they explode instantly, right? So if you're sitting on top of a boss, you're spamming ballistas to get your potions and all that, right? As you're pressing the button, you're summoning zombies and they keep popping. And so that's a lot of hits, obviously. And then you scale minion ailments in general. You don't even care about the kind of ailment. You just scale ailments and you scale as much minion damage as possible. The new traversal thing is really good for minion damage percent. That's a lot on a pair of boots, right? Like there's a lot to do in that regard. It would be a funny meme, all right? Because you're hitting so many times.
It sounds awesome. It almost makes me want to play multiplayer.
Yeah.
Huh. Yeah. I like it. What about the new ring? There's a new ring that kind of supports some volatile zombie stuff.
You could use that in this build, yeah. And so if you have 2 rings, right, and you're doing that setup specifically, it's like 30% more zombies essentially. Yeah. So that ring is really good because you can play a necromancer setup. You could play 2 zombies, big zombies, right? And you can have them both be pukers, right? And you'll always have them as long as you have 2 rings because they'll pop up, right? For you. And you just spam the solo dread shade node, the solo one, so you get more damage, right? You have 2 minions. Yeah. And they just will deal plenty of damage. And you just keep doing that. That's your build essentially, is 2 big zombies.
I've already seen clips that people have sent to me with 1 big zombie, just hands off the keyboard, fully automated. It spawns, explodes, spawns, explodes, spawns, explodes. Like, yes, it's all coming together.
Yep.
I'm excited. You thought this was the Runemaster patch. Is this the volatile zombie patch?
Yeah, I have a 1LP one currently in my inventory. I plan on getting another one.
Interesting. Interesting.
Another interesting thing I found out. So when I clicked Shift F and I looked at the list of all of the experimental items, I was very disappointed because I thought we were going to get more, right? And I'll be honest, from reading them, they were god awful, right? Just reading them from the list from the filter is terrible.
Sure.
But then I went and looked at the numbers.
Which one stood out to you?
All of them. Almost all. Even the ward on kill one gives you 310 ward on kill on tier 7. Like in your arena, woo.
That's right? A lot of monsters. A lot of ward.
Yeah, woo. Yeah. And like they're crazy. Like I can go down the list here. We can talk about every single one here. Why not? Let me find it. Where is it? Because it's that stupid. Where is it? Let me find it. I gotta find it.
Well, while you find it, I'm gonna call out one in particular. I really like the percentage of armor applies to damage over time as well.
Yep.
There's been a serious lack of means to mitigate damage over time. Yep. Forge Guard has a little bit of damage over time mitigation, and there was a Sentinel. Yeah, there's a Sentinel relic that also had armor applied to damage over time as well. But like you really don't have much because your primary forms of defense are like armor, block, dodge, fuck all.
Yeah.
None of that does anything for damage over time. Like endurance helps, and that's why endurance is good, but having a big ward pool helps too. But having this available on your glove prefix, for example, I think that's a great inclusion in the game. So tell me, you're looking at the list right now. What stands out to you? Go.
I mean, we could just talk about each one. Even the experimental dodge rating and endurance threshold, that's a good one. I like that one. Endurance threshold, if you've not been hit recently. I like defenses like this where it just gives you a gabillion endurance threshold, but conditionally. I like that.
Oh
like,
man, can we pause for a second?
Yeah, of course.
So ever since the patch notes got patched, the whole interaction with damage taken from mana before health and the endurance threshold stuff. I made a video about it on YouTube if you want to see more. But ever since that got changed, we've been memeing about it. What's the use case for building endurance threshold? Why is it in the game? Why would you ever build it intentionally? There's no good build for it. You know what? From a design perspective, having conditional endurance threshold or even having hybrid endurance threshold along with some other modifier, like, you know, a little bit of flat dodge and a little bit of endurance threshold, that kind of hybrid modifier in the game, I think is a really nice direction for where to go to get endurance threshold as a relevant stat in the game. I really
it's also
like
on prefixes on gloves too, which is like one of the easiest places to put something because like there's not that many good ones, right?
God bless, it's not a suffix. Fun. Be really bad as a suffix.
Yeah. And then you have stuff like the experimental frenzy and haste effect stuff. Like those are really good. Those are significantly higher than I thought they were going to.
Frenzy effects,
when I read them, right, I thought they were terrible. But then I'm like, well, if you give them ridiculous numbers like they're doing right now, then of course they're usable, right? Like for instance, the mana on potion thing, that's cool. I like that when you get the mana regen for 4 seconds. That's cool. I don't know why you'd go out of your way to run this, but like if it's just there, why not? Then of course the transport, that's all obviously good. On tier 7, you get 140% increased minion damage on your boots. People are gonna run it not because of the traversal, just because it gives you a bunch of percent damage.
It's great.
It's like, yeah, it's great. And then like experimental traversal cooldown recovery speed on potion use. There's gonna be some memes with that where you turn a skill into a traversal skill just to get extra cooldown. That's gonna be fun. Like for instance, this is like the problem is like it's on potion and like potions and like I still remember a day. I remember when dodge on potion use was nerfed. I was specifically given the reason why by a developer at the time that they don't want more things to do with potions. Potions shouldn't be a main thing in the game, like, you know, like main focus. And then they're all printing all this stuff, and I'm just like, wait, why do we lose dodge potion? Like, come on. But continuing on, of course, the zombie one, obviously. This one is the low-key broken one.
Tell me about it.
Experimental ward gained on traversal. You can get on tier 7, 20 to 25 or 25 ward per 10 missing mana. If you are playing a build like a mana sork, for instance, and you suck up all your mana, right?
And then
800
focus as a movement
mana.
skill?
Yeah, 800 mana, right? Yeah, 800 mana. Or just a spammable one. Let's be real, right? You just spam teleport as fast as possible, right? You get a high cooldown. You could get like 2,000 ward per time you use teleport or whatever. You could play it on Devotion Paladin and get 2,000 or however much, depending on how much
Devotion
mana you have.
Paladin teleport.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, not teleport, but
Wait.
like lunge or something.
Okay.
You use it on lunge or something, or shield rush. Like you just get so much ward. Like you could build around this. You could use on transplant. If on necromancer, like there's so many ways you could use this. It's like crazy. Like there's a lot of use cases for that one. And of course, the experimental ward per missing health, that one's strong. Obviously, of course, it makes low life almost playable again, which I'm happy with. So that's cool. Yeah, overall, I like the experimental effects. I'd like to see more, obviously, some other kinds of effects, obviously, but like this is a good system to build upon, which I'm happy with.
If you were going to add in experimental affix, what would you toss into the mix? I'll let you think about that, okay? Listen, if you're on YouTube watching this video, if you're in Twitch chat right now, think about that. If you're going to add a new experimental affix in, if you were in charge for a day, what experimental affix would you toss in the game? I know what I would do. I know exactly what I would do. I would take one of my old ideas and I would put it here instead. I would say, like elemental damage. If you've crit recently, you have no crit multi. Just like any way that I can get elemental overload into last Epoch,
they gave us
I'll do
elemental overload, Perry.
What?
There's the runic invocation of elemental overload. What are you talking about? That exists.
I literally don't know what you're talking about.
There's a runic invocation specifically called elemental overload.
Go on.
Yeah. I can't remember what it does.
Does it do?
I just know it's called that.
Okay. Technically elemental overload, sure.
It's already in the game.
I love that portion of Path of Exile. I think it fit really well. Just give me some kind of way to sneak it into the game. But maybe if you think about it, or maybe somebody who's listening to this podcast.
Like, you know what would be a cool one? Extra regen if you've been hit recently. That'd be a cool one, like a flat one, like a flat amount of regen if you've been hit recently.
More damage over time per crit multi.
Yeah.
These are like mastery nodes we're talking about. I don't know if this would work well as a piece of gear.
I mean, the thing is with the experimental affixes, I'm okay with them. I like them. They allow them to put the more kooky kind of, you know.
I'm a big fan of them. I got at least two more things that I want to talk about here. But we have something that I think EHG did really, really well with this patch is they introduced new crafting. And not just the crafting, because like crafting's fun, making sweet items is fun. But the crafting materials themselves, the Rune of Research, drops pretty commonly.
Oh yeah, you can spam
God bless. You can actually use it and you don't feel like an idiot.
Yeah.
If that thing were more rare, I think it'd be a big mistake. But the fact that it drops pretty commonly, like almost every exiled mage encounter that you fight past level 70 actually drops one, feels really good that you can actually use it.
Do again? I can't remember. I don't have one.
So there's this two. The Rune of Research is the one that drops. Yeah. And then you can use it, and it seals. It has a guaranteed seal for the experimental affix on it. Glyph of Insight is the second one, and you might get it after you craft. The Glyph of Insight elevates a modifier, so to speak. It transforms a current normal modifier into an experimental modifier. Yeah. And importantly, it's deterministic. We don't know all the determinism. Maybe that gets data mined at some point, but there is some kind of determinism to it.
Yeah, so it's like synthesis, right? It's just like that, where there's like some hidden things under the framework. That'll be cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like maybe you can force a specific modifier onto your glove.
Yeah, that'd be cool. It'd be like
very cool.
Yeah, I like that. I think it's cool.
I'm actually surprised. I almost forgot that there was determinism in that. I feel like we should have seen data mining.
I want to talk about actually. I'm really happy with the way that they've implemented the caches and the runic mages and stuff.
Yeah.
When they were talking about it, they're like, "Oh yeah, we're gonna put it in like this little corner in the map that you're never gonna go to, and you have to like go and search far and wide for it." No, they just made them spawn like League mechanics from PoE where they're everywhere. I'm fine with that. That's fine. That's
the far and wide caches. So there's two different kinds of caches, right?
Yeah.
One is the one that you just mentioned. That's the one in monoliths. But the one-shot caches that spawn during the campaign, I went through the campaign. I didn't see a single one.
I saw one because I got the singularity from it. That's the
Yeah.
one that always drops a singularity.
So
'Cause,
it's data mined at this point.
You
You can go on a variety of websites and see exactly where the one-shot caches drop during the campaign. But if you don't look it up and you just run through the campaign like I did, I didn't find a single one. And like, frankly, I think that's a good thing.
Exactly. Yeah, I think it's fine. I looked through the affixes and none of them are just like, oh my God, you need to use this every single time kind of thing, right? And like, it's fine. It's whatever.
Yeah,
cool.
Not bad. So there's one more thing that I want to talk about before I ask you again if you have anything on your mind. But did you notice that in patch 092, one of the most perhaps hyped up things about Runemaster was a no cooldown node on Flame Rush? It's not there.
Removed.
The node is not
why.
there. How do you feel about that?
I think it's fine. I think it was stupid.
I tend to agree with you. I'm curious to know how the audience feels about that as well, but I don't.
I mean, the thing is, the audience is going to be like, "Oh my God, it's amazing! It's flashy! It's crazy!" And I'm just like,
I don't think it belongs in Last Epoch, though.
Yeah.
No cooldown movement.
Yeah.
So we
I think
have.
there's a reason it was removed.
Should they bring it back?
I mean, I would rather instead of having a no cooldown, I would rather it have multiple charges instead. So you can like use it like 3 times.
Love charge system.
So the way it would work is it would have 3 charges. Whenever the cooldown ended, it would be granted 3 charges, and then you could use it 3 times in succession, and then it'd go back on cooldown. Right? I'd be fine with that, or something like that, like a burst of using them.
Even
but it
adding
shouldn't be just like constantly. Like
even adding a second charge means that like it starts reloading as soon as you use the first one and then use the second one. Yeah.
Well, what I would want is it's kind of like Flame Dash in a way where you have a bunch of charges, bam, bam, bam. You use them, bam, 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 and then it goes on cooldown or whatever. I wouldn't mind that either way. Or like make it so that if you use Flame Rush, so the way it would work.
Oh, like if you've used in the past 4 seconds, it has no cooldown?
If you've used Flame Rush recently, your Flame Rush has no cooldown, but then when it does go on cooldown, it's a longer one, like a significantly longer one, right?
Okay.
That would be cool. So you just spam it for 4 seconds.
Well, two or three good ideas right there. But I think both you and I agree that I'm kind of happy it's not there.
No thing was stupid, obviously. Even
no
like the mana
cooldown.
is like stupid.
In my Last Epoch, come on, man.
Like we're even talking about Shield Rush, and Shield Rush doesn't do anything other than go fast, right?
Well, Shield Rush, if you give it no cooldown, ping pongs you back to where you were a second ago, which is hilarious.
But what I mean is it deserved its removal. I talked with Rain. He really likes mobility in video games, but we came to the conclusion that like in its state, it was a bad idea, but there should be more ways of like, oh, I do want to like catapult myself across the map, kind of like with Shield Rush, right? I want to do that. Just give me downsides that are appropriate for it. Like for instance, like I said, that cooldown node, like I said, but like the way it would work, right? Like I said, is you just get the way it would work is it would have like a 12-second cooldown to start out with, right?
I hear you.
But then it would gain 3 charges when the cooldown ends instantly, instead of like having it 1, 2, 3. So you can use it 3 times and then it goes back on cooldown and then you have to wait to use it again, right? I'd be fine with that. That'd be cool.
Be cool down. Yeah, I like it. Vion's Chariot. Maybe not Vion's Chariot, but I was previously thinking about a DPS Flame Rush build, but using Flame Rush to apply like one hit worth of Frostbite on hit, you can also get like a pseudo Doom kind of thing on the very left side of Flame Rush. You can make it apply like some spell damage over time, and like that scales with the rest of your damage over time. You can kill some monsters by jumping through them, but I don't know if it's ever going to be a primary source of damage.
I think the way it's going to work is going to work like Frostclaw, where you just use it to proc a bunch of other things. So, for instance, there is a node inside Glyph of Dominion that makes it do a bunch more damage per rune and all that, and does this and does that, and consumes rune and gives it a cooldown and all that. Well, it turns out that if you use it from Flame Rush, if you spam Glyph from Flame Rush, right, it bypasses the cooldown, so you can just use Flame Rush instead.
Love it.
Yeah,
all right,
it'll be fun.
So we talked about things that we think are busted. We talked about things that might need to be nerfed, and even what we were doing on day 1 and day 2, and like the future builds we're thinking about. What else is on your mind? Is there anything? Yeah. What is there anything you want to chat about that doesn't quite fit into one of those boxes?
Well, so specifically when it comes to this, I just hope that the rush for 1.0 doesn't like cause problems. I know it will, but like I don't want it, like for instance right now, right? Like now we have Sorcerer to be reworked now on that list. And before this, I didn't think Sorcerer needed reworked. I think its skills need reworked, but its passive tree didn't need reworked. But now I believe its passive tree needs reworked now if they're going to do what they did here, right? But then also as well, they have this, they have that, they have all these different things they got to work on. And the thing is like 1.0 is coming. And like, so essentially from what it seems to be, they're just releasing the game right now, right? Just to get rid of the early access tag, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. The game's been in early access long enough. I think the game is in a state where it could be called a finished game, like, you know, kind of like Path of Exile, etc., right? Like, and then it could evolve from each patch and all that, right? But it just seems to be it's something I actually posted in the video that you're talking about earlier, right? That specifically, they keep doing things in a way that makes them have more work to do later, right?
I don't disagree. Yeah, I feel
like for instance, like this goes back a while back, okay? So like for instance with the squirrel helmet, right? The squirrel helmet was so strong that it made it so that playing normal wolves wasn't viable, right? In general, like if you weren't using the squirrel helmet and you did if you had a squirrel helmet and you were playing wolves, you should be using it, kind of thing, right?
True, yes.
So that caused them to have to do more work to rebound, so instead of doing it right the first time, then they had to come fix it later. And that seems to be the problem in a little bit. Now obviously if they're okay with that, sure, but I don't know if like that's like good practice to like make it so that you have a bunch of work later, if that makes sense, right? Like I would prefer that wouldn't be the case, right? Like for instance, like with the Surf and Strike thing, right? Since they didn't spend enough time on that, at least in my opinion, I don't think they did, right? Now they got to go rework it again. So all that effort that was put into making it good was wasted. And now you got to add more to it or whatever, which by the way, to fix Surf and Strike could be very easy, right? It was just tune up the numbers and maybe get rid of that stupid 50% HP one, right? Like
so Surf and Strike was very old and now it's a modern skill. It's not a good modern skill, but it is a modern skill. It kind of fits in like the other modern skills that have been introduced recently. So I hear your skepticism. I'll push back on the idea that they're just pushing out 1.0 to get rid of the beta tag. I don't think that's happening, but in any case, let me shine a light here and just say that I really look forward to this. If Runemaster is the direction of Last Epoch, I'm really excited for the future.
Yeah, I'm excited too.
Like Runemaster is
this patch.
S tier fun.
Yeah, this is great so far.
If this is the quality of like what Shaman's going to be in the future, and like what Sork is going to be updated to, what Falconer and Warlock are going to be, like this game is going to be better and better and better every time they update one of these things.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yep.
So I think that's a good way of wrapping it up there. This is kind of a shorter podcast. We're only going for about 40. Oh, that's
okay.
A full hour. All right. I thought it was 45 minutes or so, but yeah, that's a good hour there.
Yep.
So, Dread, thank you so much for joining me for episode 31 of the Epic Epoch podcast. This goes up on YouTube and Spotify about a day or two after we record it here live on Twitch. So if you are watching it somewhere else, be sure to let us know where you're watching it so we can make sure that you are getting the best quality possible, whether you're watching it on a commute or on YouTube or what. So Twitch chat, thanks for watching live. I appreciate that. Dread, thank you as always for being my co-host, joining me here.
Anytime.
And we will see you next time.